Crickbuzz in conversation, and we are overjoyed to have one of the greats of the game. I've long wanted to talk to AB de Villiers, and here he is in person talking to us, and I'm really looking forward to this. And AB, I set myself a challenge, and I said, can I describe you in just 2 words, having watched you over these years? And I must confess, the 2 I came up with were modest genius. I think you'll disagree with one, agree with the other, but we'll take care of that. We've got a modest genius, AB de Villiers, with us today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Harsha. It's nice to be talking to you.
Which of those 2 would you agree with more?
Oh, that is a trick question. I was brought up definitely not as a genius, so I was taught to keep my feet on the ground. So I'd say the modest part more.
Okay, I thought you might say that. That's why I added the second part. Okay, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit right at the start, knowing that you're not very good when people are praising in front of you. But yeah. I've got some numbers for you. 8,765 runs at 50.66. One-day internationals, 9,473 runs at 53.5. Hold your breath. Career strike rate of 101. IPL 39.95. Career strike rate 151. 7 ODI wickets.
Yeah.
How many do you remember, AB?
The ODI wickets?
7 ODI wickets.
Let me think. The test wickets I'll remember. I've got 2. Yeah. The 7 ODI wickets, I probably won't get all of them right. There's 2 against Afghanistan in the World Cup, 2015 World Cup. I got Aaron Finch out.
Yes.
In Australia in the ODI series. I got 2 New Zealand wickets, maybe 3 New Zealand wickets in one ODI. I can't remember 2 or 3. 2. So that leaves me with 2 more that I don't remember now.
Trent Boult and Tom Latham.
I remember that, yes. Latham played on. Now I remember that very well.
and that colossal batsman called John Mooney.
Oh yes, okay.
Ireland. What probably your best wicket, AB? Yunus Khan?
Oh, against Pakistan at Eden Park.
There you go, Yunus Khan.
Easy wicket.
Tell us about what India knows you best at. I mean, you've got this fantastic Test match record, but it's when you come out to bat in T20 cricket that the word genius is so liberally used for you. One that I'm sure you've got used to hearing. That is why I was shocked when I heard one of your earlier interviews while prepping for this. You said that you didn't really get the T20 game for a long time.
I was slow out of the blocks, I think. You see, I was in the middle of, I think, a big transition in cricket, where I was part of an older generation, and with a new format and a new generation taking over, so half my career was in the old part and half my career in the newer part, if you know what I mean. So a lot of things happened in the middle of my career, and I had to adapt quickly. The T20 format is something I always dreamed of. I've always dreamed of just going out there and playing with freedom, but I don't think I respected it enough when the T20 format started. I honestly felt like I had a license from ball 1 right throughout. And very quickly I realized, hold on, my stats don't look that good because I'm a little bit erratic. I'm all over the place, you know. So I realized you also have to lay the foundation in T20 cricket. I was quick in the next couple of months after that to figure out a game plan. And then I started being more consistent. And once I was more consistent, I could really start freeing myself up and discover some new shots and find that old AB where I could try and win games for the team after laying the foundation. But initially with the T20 format, I don't think I respected it enough in understanding that you also need to lay a foundation.
There are some bowlers in T20 cricket, especially in the IPL, that say, why on earth can't he spend a little more time laying a foundation? Why does he have to go after us straight away? But I've got a line for you. That I wrote down. Talent hits a target nobody else can hit. Genius hits a target nobody else can see. And when we watch you bat in T20 cricket, we're always on the edge because we don't know where the next ball is going, because you seem to find places that other people cannot see. How does that work?
I'm just having a bit of fun out there.
It's more than that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't happen very often that you get into that kind of space where you feel you can hit it anywhere. And I mean, it is dead quiet in your head. You're just really having fun. You almost hear music. I'm sure you've heard all these phrases before, but it honestly feels that way, that you're in a different world, and the bowlers feel like they're bowling slower than normal. You feel like you have more time, and the spaces open up on the field that you never thought was possible, and you start just hitting it there. And once you pull one shot off, you feel you can do it again, and you feel you can even create more. So you really got to put yourself out there to discover that, first of all. But once you pull it off, it gets a lot easier, and you start really believing in yourself. And I think that's what happens when I do get into that zone.
And the mind goes back to 2 double century partnerships. A century partnership in a T20 game is huge, as you know. You don't get century partnership in T20. You got 2 doubles. And I think it was the game against Gujarat Lions. The two of you were literally like children saying, let's burst one more balloon. Between overs, you were just sitting and laughing. And I think you were asking Virat, are you thinking of scoring 100 or what? Was that Gujarat Lions, that game?
Yeah, that's right. At Chinnaswamy.
Yeah, you were like children. You were just bursting balloons.
Yeah, I know, it's very special. We're having a lot of fun. And once again, it's you don't often get that feeling with a partner at the other end. You personally feel you're in the zone and you have fun. And whoever comes to the crease, you have fun with that guy. But at that specific day, we both were really, feeling a vibe. I could see he's completely in the zone. You know, you can see in the guy's eyes when he's locked in. I felt the same. We both understood what we're trying to do. He was taking that bowler down. I was taking this bowler down. We were running fast between the wickets. We were really toying with the opposition that day, and that doesn't happen very often. I mean, we had so much fun, and it happened at Mumbai as well, Wankhede Stadium against the Mumbai Indians in a day game, 4 o'clock, I think, and similar thing. We're both just in the zone. Both times he started slower, and then typical Virat style with his endurance, his fitness coming through towards the end when the bowlers are really tired. It's almost like a marathon runner coming in towards the end and then deciding, okay, I can see you guys are a bit fatigued now I'm going to show you. And he did it both times.
You're such different players. I mean, it's an incredible game where 2 people can get about the same strike rate, similar strike rate, if not the same, in such completely different styles. And I've never seen Virat go down and scoop one over the keeper's head, for example. And yet, 2 people playing such complete different games. You talk about each other's games. Does Virat ever say, I wish I could play that ball over the keeper's head?
We definitely have things in our batting and the way we approach the game that we would love to have for ourselves. He's got things that I would like, and I think he feels the same about me. We're completely different players. We take on different bowlers. I personally like to attack a little bit earlier. I like to not to show weakness early on in my innings. So I would be earlier with the trigger than him. But he's so fluent. He can also with conventional shots, he pierces the rings very easily. He can get to a similar kind of strike rate earlier on. I like to personally punch back nice and early, show that I'm there. It's all about presence, body language. And I want guys to early on feel that, hold on, he can't bat for 5 overs. There's going to be trouble if he bats for 5 or 10 overs. So I think that's where we're different. But then Virat, again, I would say is more reliable. He's the guy that you want early on to bat for 15 overs. And I'd say I'm maybe better in a way where I can change the game quicker and have that injection that could possibly swing the flow of the game. So together we're quite a nice combo.
Quite a nice. I love your understatement. You're quite a nice combination. Zaheer Khan said to us here on Crickbuzz that Virat talked to you a lot about the hook shot, and that he actually might have picked up nuances of the hook and the pull from you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with that kind of, South African wickets back in the day were very quick. The aggressive nature of South African bowlers at domestic level, they always test you on the short ball first and then they go top of off. Where it's obviously a bit different in India, where you're not exposed to that kind of stuff growing up. So I think I never really thought of playing the short ball. It's a more natural thing because I grew up that way. And he picked up on a few tips and we chatted about it quite a bit. And vice versa, I mean, playing spinners in the middle overs, I watched him for ages, batting in the nets, what he would do, where he would hit spinners, how he would rotate them. And I picked up a lot of things from him as well with that regard. And other stuff. I mean, looking at techniques. When I've had a big break, I love watching other players and what they do with their techniques, where the balance are. and etc. I mean, I like watching those kind of stuff, and I think Virat picked up on a few things, and we've had some very good discussions around cricket. We don't only talk cricket.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yes,
I heard you say in an interview once that you're afraid to say the coffee is good because a coffee machine will land up in your house. Yeah. But I'd love to know a little bit more. It's like the students in a master's physics class and there's two Nobel laureates talking to each other. We'd love to know what is the kind of batting conversation that takes place between the two.
Yeah, we can get technical. I love looking at the technique of players, as I said. So at the moment, I'm working with some youngsters on Zoom calls where I send them videos of what I do. And it's funny, all the youngsters want to know how I play the short ball. And so it's the first time that I'm really analyzing myself and thinking, why do I feel comfortable with quick short bowling? What do I do? And I've spoken to Virat about it. I mean, extending the arms, you can see how Virat extends his arms with a short ball. So if I can really get technical, it's a difficult one for the mind to understand, because the quicker the bowler is, the more you think that you need time and you got to like pull in, but that you actually got to go towards the ball and go and fetch it. So that's the tough part to understand. And once you click that, the minute you see it short, to try and extend your arms towards the ball, it becomes a lot more easy to control it. And I think that's what Virat got right in the last 5, 6, 7 years, really extending it. And you can see he rolls his wrist, trying to keep it down, not giving a chance up in the air on the leg side. It's vital. Once you're in and you've controlled a couple, then you can start looking to dominate. But really respecting the short one up front, getting to understand the bounce, the pace of the wicket. And once you're on top of that, you can start toying with him.
I mean, I see the two of you bat together. I think one's a violinist, the other's a drummer. I just brought the music analogy because you love music that much. But you're the flamboyant drummer. You're just going off into different areas, whereas Virat's the violinist, playing his tune.
And both musicians need rhythm to their games, and that's the most important thing. The rhythm might not be the same, but it's still music, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's a nice analogy. I like that. And a drummer can play slow music as well. It can be but there's got to be a bit of the rhythm to the whole thing.
When was the last time you went to I'm going to bring up 3 of your innings when you went and then 2 minutes later went and then maybe 10 minutes later went But I'm very interested. The word great is sometimes loosely used, but it's very appropriately used with the two of you. It's used with Steve Smith in recent times. What constitutes greatness to you? I mean, there's so many qualities of great people. What constitutes greatness? Who would you say is great?
That's a difficult question. You should have maybe asked me last night about it, so I can prepare.
Yeah.
I would say greatness. What I'm proud of throughout my career. So I can only talk from a personal point of view and looking at others obviously as well. But I'd say playing under pressure. When the team needs you, when the chips are down, 30 for 4, those kind of things. I see greatness when a player can consistently contribute in those kind of situations. I'm not a big stats man, but there is one stat that I look at, and that's average, and also strike rate. That's the consistency in average, and strike rate is the impact that you have and the time that you use in having that. So those are 2 things I'd look at. But I'd say just under pressure. I mean, Steve Smith, Virat, both of them, they've got this knack of when it matters, they're there. And that to me is greatness.
What separates a great batsman from another? Is it just the time they have to play their shots? Is it the timing? Is it mental? What separates? There's lots of players who are very good first-class players. There's lots of players who are very good test players. And then there's some great players. What separates? What is that little extra inch that you need to go?
Yeah, it's tough, Harsha. I think it comes from the inside. That's a deep desire and hunger that you can't buy at the supermarket. That's that real big urge to make a difference and have an impact on a game. Now, we're all different players. Virat and Smith are more of the endurance kind of players. They like to take it deep. They like to wear their opponents down. I like to have a quicker impact, and within a matter of 30 minutes or an hour, I'd like to turn things around. But that's my deep desire and urge to really turn it around from the chips are down to, hold on, we've got the momentum behind us. How did that just happen? That's my kind of game. But we're all different, and I'd say it's all good play. but it all comes from a deep desire and that competitive edge that you're born with in a way. And it can also, you're born with it, but it's a decision as well. You can decide to be like that, or you can just let it slip. And I'd say the greats have the ability to do that day in and day out, and not just once a week. And Virat certainly has that more than most guys that I've ever seen. He looks hungry for runs every single day that he wakes up, and that to me is, I don't know how he does that. It's amazing.
You don't do it too badly yourself. But,
well, I've been there for a little bit longer than him, so he's still got some time to go. But yeah, I've had it for most parts of my career, and it's not always easy to have it every single day. I mean, you do get tired. I haven't seen that from Virat yet. Maybe in the last while, maybe this lockdown has come at a good time for him, where he can really refresh, reset the boundaries again and go again. I'm expecting big things from him in the next 3 to 5 years.
Do you compete as well? I mean, it's a peculiar situation. There's a partnership going on, and the better the partnership, the better for the team. But is there also a little sense of one-upmanship sometimes? But one-upmanship is a bad word, actually. Competitiveness.
No, for sure. I mean, that deep desire comes from, you want to be the guy to save the team and to be there for the guys. So I won't say I'm competitive with my playing partner. I don't know how to answer that. It's a tough one. I want to say yes to you because I want to give you something, but I'm really just happy when another guy does well, and especially if I'm playing well, it's a bonus. It's great. But I'm thinking of this knocks with Virat. It's almost like I just got my 100, and I'd really want him to get his 100 as well. It'd make for a good story, and it will create amazing memories. So I don't know. There's always healthy competition within the team. You look at your average at the end of a series, and you think like, I want to be up there with the best batsman of the team. But it's never really it's not a nasty thing. It's more it's a healthy partnership, healthy competition.
You said you're looking forward to the IPL. Is how big, and I mean, you achieved almost everything in life. How big would it be to win an IPL?
It would be fantastic. Obviously, I've been with RCB for quite a while now, and I know how much Virat wants it as well. I'm right in it with him. I also know how difficult it is to win the IPL. It doesn't just happen. A lot of things got to go right, and you need a bit of luck at the right time as well. So there's no reason why we shouldn't go out there and give it a really good go and possibly lift the trophy. But there's also not a certainty. But I'm definitely going to give it everything I have to finish on high.
Could it be sometimes that there's such a lot of focus on AB and Virat that all the others think it's their job to win? Can that happen in it?
I can't speak on behalf of other people, but I can imagine it can be a factor. I think it's possible that it can sort of change other people's performances and mindset a little bit, and not a mindset of having to sit down and whatever they'll win, but also a mindset of trying to prove that they can also play on that level, and then changing their game plans because of that, and then ultimately not really performing well. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think it should be a factor, Asha, but maybe it is. I don't know.
More and more, AB T20 is about analytics. You said you're not a big numbers person, but if there's 3 or 4 batsmen around the world, you're one of those who are more heavily analyzed than anybody else. Do you look at what the analyst is telling you because you'll get an idea of what the bowlers are likely to be planning against you, or do you say, nah, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to see the ball?
A bit of a combination. I mean, it also depends who's bowling. I don't like to spend too much time on the opposition. I like to feel that I'm in the right space. Mm-hmm. When I've played some of my best knocks, premeditation doesn't really play a big part of it, even though it looks that way. But my basics are in place, and I feel comfortable at the wicket. My balance is good. I feel my weight is going into the ball. I'm picking up the length quickly. I can see the spinner's wrists, what they're doing. If I do all those, if those things are in place, I feel I can do anything, and it's got nothing to do with the opposition or who's bowling at me. That I feel is just a sense and an instinct of understanding the game. I can very quickly pick up whether the guy is going to try bowl wide at me, if they're going to use a lot of slow balls, what kind of wicket you're playing on. Those are things you can't plan for. And I feel looking at stats before the game, every game changes. Every wicket is different. Every situation is different. Sometimes you're chasing, sometimes you're setting. I can't go ahead of the game and just plan like that. I will look at some bowling actions. If I haven't seen the players bowl, Rashid Khan at the time, I wasn't sure what he did with his wrist. Then I looked at a bit of analysis of him. I could see what he's doing with the wrist now. I picked it up better over the last few years. And there are a lot of other bowlers that I will look at just to see his action. But the situation at that time, I mean, he's also human, so he can also go off his game plan. It doesn't mean he's going to stay with his game plan. So I'd rather play the situation, look at the captain, look at the field placings, look at the bowler's demeanour, and definitely sum up the wicket and the long boundary, short boundary. Those are the things that are really important to me at the time. Which way the wind's blowing, can you clear that boundary there, etc.
It's an 8 p.m. start, and say you just had a leisurely breakfast. The analyst pops across and says, "Can I show you some numbers? Last 3 games against left arm over the wicket, the strike rate's about 85. Do you want to know those numbers, or do you say, go away, I'm having a second coffee?"
He knows he shouldn't approach me at all. Because I'll tell you why. If that's the case, let's say left arm spinners, they most probably, if you look at the analysis of the games, they most probably bowl in overs where I couldn't take them on. Those are probably building overs where I earn the right to set my foundation. I set my foundation and earn the right to take it on later on. If a left arm spinner bowled to me in the 17th over, I'm pretty sure my stats would look different. And if I'm on 50 not out. Yeah. So I hate looking at stats where they don't take in consideration the situation of the game, whether we just lost 3 wickets, I'm rebuilding, and then all of a sudden they put on TV, hold on, but AB's got a weakness against right-arm offies or slower balls or whatever the case may be, but they never looked at the fact that we're 20 for 3 and I'm trying to rebuild with Virat or someone else. And that's got to be, I mean, guys have got to put that into stats if they would really want to get it spot on.
Now, when the quicker bowlers are bowling, we measure time in milliseconds. When the quicker bowlers are bowling, instinct is measured in milliseconds. How many of those shots are predetermined? Or do you actually gauge length and then play a sort of reverse flick of a third man?
You see, the beautiful thing about cricket and this lovely game that we play is every single time you start, you got to start over. So you talk about knocks where I certainly have that time to hit the ball anywhere. And then you start the next innings and it's a whole different scenario again. You hear the crowd, you feel the pressure, you feel this expectation. You put that pressure on yourself as well. And then you don't pull it off. And that night you lie in bed and you think, oh, have I lost it? So the beautiful thing about our game is we're all human. And once you pull off some amazing stuff, you got to start over again the next day. But yes, I mean, I've had some amazing knocks where I've really surprised myself more than anything else. I've pulled shots off where I thought to myself, I absolutely have no idea how that just happened. But it just happens. I don't know. I watch the ball, I feel in the zone, and the crowd gets behind me. And I think the adrenaline also plays a big part in that, where you do things you don't know why you just did it. But for some reason, one thing is consistent, and you see that ball clearer than ever when you get into that zone.
Are you a bit of a gambler then sometimes, saying, okay, this is the situation, I'm gambling on these shots, or is it completely instinct?
I hate gambling. I mean, I absolutely hate that feeling of I'm not 100% sure. It's 50-50. And sometimes you have to, I'd rather say it's brave. Somewhere in your innings, everyone gets to a stage where you got to be brave. And you can call it gambling if you want, but I don't think it is. Once you've laid a certain foundation where you understand the rhythm of the game, you understand what the bowlers are trying to do, you see the body language of the captain and what kind of state they are in, you can immediately pick up if you're on top of them or they are going to ask some questions. But there are stages in a batting innings where you got to be brave and you got to take a certain kind of risk where I'd like it to be more than 50% at least. Sometimes it's not, unfortunately, but you know that if you can pull it off, you can put a little bit of doubt in the captain and the bowler's mind and maybe things change. So there's been a lot of innings where I've been under the 50%, I've pulled it off and I pulled it through and I get 100. And there've been other innings again where I felt like 100% all the time. I felt like I never took a risk. I got my 100. So, but once again, that's the beauty of the game. Every innings is different. Sometimes you feel like you're gambling a bit. Sometimes you feel like you're being brave and courageous and making some really good decisions. and sometimes at the end, both scenarios, you end up with 100. So there's no right and wrong in this game. It's just percentages.
I just love the way you say in both scenarios you end up with 100. For a lot of people, ending up with 100 is a monstrous achievement. But you use the term 50-50. Now, Kumar Sangakkara once said that every ball is really the shot you play is an assessment of risk. In Test cricket, if you had a 20% risk, you probably wouldn't play it. In T20, is 50% risk an acceptable risk?
I can't put a number to it. It's more feel to me. I would hate to think that I'm thinking about numbers when I'm batting.
Yeah.
But there's certainly a feel in your mind, and the important part is to be genuine with your mind and your body, so that your mind don't give false info to your body. You know what I mean, and vice versa. So if you can just be on the same page, I'm not a big number man. I like to just be out there, you get a feel for it, you sense weakness, or you don't, and you got to play accordingly. I mean, if the bowler's on top of you, number one bowler in the world, Dale Steyn running in, he's in full flight, he's swinging past your bat. I mean, my mindset can't be, I'm going to take him down now. My mindset is strong body language, show him that I'm here, I'm present, but I'm going to respect him because he's on top of me actually, but I'm not going to show him in my body language. And then you earn the right to sort of, by endurance, you earn the right to start going, hold on, he just bowled a half volley, that he didn't do that in the last half an hour. Now it's time maybe to get on top of him. So you earn the right to turn that percentage from 20 to a 60, and then you start taking good risks.
You brought up the name. I didn't. I was going to bring that up at some point, but I thought I wouldn't be able to look Dale Steyn in the eye. You go back a very long way with Dale Steyn. You made your first class debut together. You made your Test debut together. Now he turns up for the Deccan Chargers. You're playing for Royal Challengers. You go back a long way. 39 to get from 3 overs, and you take 23. The next couple of years later, 28 to get from 2 overs, you take 24. Did you feel a sense of power? I mean, have you gone through phases in your career where you just felt a sense of power? You're thinking the bowler's running up and saying, no, you got no chance.
Yeah, at that stage, when I get into that kind of mood and I see the ball that well, it doesn't matter which bowler it is. It's really a feel. And as you say, yes, you feel confident, and obviously you sort of trust in your own ability at that time. And both those knocks and a lot of other knocks, I feel like I've earned the right to feel that way. And once you believe that you've earned the right to feel like you're on top of the opposition, then you believe it. You believe that you are better than them at the time. You've got the momentum behind you, and you've got to take as much out of it as you can. So it could have been any bowler at that time. I mean, Dale was just at that time where I exactly felt like I have to make a play for the team. The run rate's getting out of control, but I'm seeing the ball better than ever. I'm going to just let it flow and see what I can do. And then 1 or 2 shots come off and over, and you think, listen, there's 4 balls to go. I'm already on top of him. I have to really expose him here. And it's nothing to do with, I mean, he's the best bowler that I've personally seen bowl of all time. Obviously not taking into consideration all the guys in the past, because I didn't really see them bowl. But Dale, I mean, is, with all respect, him running in, there's definitely a sense of fear. But when a batter gets into that kind of zone, I mean, you can just do anything.
You've played IPL right from the beginning, and it must be really tough, but we've got only one condition. You have to be one among the 4 overseas players.
That's funny, because I thought of that last night. That's like, so I picked my all-time 11 and I put myself in. How bad would that look?
So we've decided that for you. So we've taken the badness on ourselves.
Okay, thank you. I already thought of replacements for myself. But let's work through it. So opening the batting, someone I started with at Delhi, Viru.
Yeah.
Viru by number 1, and then someone who I think have played some of the best cricket in the world in the last 5 years, Rohit, number 2. And then obviously Virat, number 3. And then I'd say at number 4, either Williamson or Smith or myself.
Okay, we'll take that call.
Okay, thank you. But I've given you the 2 replacement options: Kane Williamson, Steve Smith, De Villiers at 4, Ben Stokes at 5, MS at 6, and captain. Even Virat can sort of make turns as captain. And then at number 7, I've put Jadu, Mr. Jadeja, Chennai, Rashid Khan at 8. Bhuvi Kumar at 9, Kagiso Rabada at 10, and Bumrah at 11. And
Okay,
good luck
so
beating that team.
well done, well done. How many overseas players have you got? You've got the number 4 who's an overseas player. You've got Rashid Khan, you've got Rabada.
Yeah, and Stokes and myself.
And
Smith,
Stokes, there you go. You've got Ben Stokes, fine.
I've
You've
put Stokes
also-
in because obviously we know what he can do with a bat, but it's also an extra seaming option. We've got the 2 spinners and then Bhuvi, Rabada and Bumrah as bowlers as well. It pretty much covers everything.
It just passes, doesn't it? The time when you're watching AB de Villiers play or you're watching AB de Villiers talk. There's lots more coming up in part 2 of Cricket Buzz in Conversation with AB de Villiers.